Today, we got another big announcement in the way of the Harry Potter full cast audiobook. Why we didn't get it last week with the Back to Hogwarts, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to announce a bunch of cast for the audiobook and get it mixed up with the full cast announcement for the HBO series because they were announcing cast for that and it would have been confusing. But today we're going to go over the announcement that they made with all of the big actors. We thought the first batch was like, okay, Hugh Laurie, that's going to be the big actor in this. But no, we've got so many more large actors that I'm baffled by the fact that they got these people to do this. But we're going to be talking about that today. And if you like Harry Potter news, whether it's about the audiobooks or the HBO series or just discussions about Harry Potter and just ideas about theories, make sure to like and subscribe because that is what we do here. So without further ado, let's start talking about the cast announcement. So we're only about a month and a half out before we get our first listen of the full book. I'm sure they're going to start releasing more snippets of like, hey, look, here's like a book trailer. The fact that they're announcing cast for future books is exciting. I'm surprised they're not waiting until after the next, like, hey, here's the people you are going to hear in the first book after the first book drops. Here's the people you're going to hear in the second book. Get excited. Even more big actors are coming to play in this playground. That is the Harry Potter universe. So let's start talking some big names, some that I'm not really familiar with, but I'm excited. So we have Ruth Wilson as Bellatrix Lestrange. I'm not super familiar with who Ruth Wilson is. One of the big ones, Keira Knightley as Dolores Umbridge. Hello, that's going to be an interesting one. Is she going to keep her accent that she usually uses in movies, or is she going to change it a little bit? That's what's going to be interesting about this, is because some of these people, it's like, okay, I can see them just with their normal voice playing that character. But others, it's like, did you get them because they're so big, or did you get them because they actually embody the character? She's one that I'm questioning. Does she embody it, or is it because she's famous and a huge character? But Keira Knightley as Dolores Umbridge is kind of cool. Another big one is Kit Harington as Professor Lockhart, which is going to be interesting. I would never, ever cast him as actual Professor Lockhart in the live action, but I think he could probably pull off the suave debonair character that is Professor Lockhart. And we don't get him just in the second book. We also get him in the fifth book, which is going to be interesting. Him playing two different versions of Professor Lockhart, but also at the same time, the same Lockhart. We also get Ewan Rowan, who played alongside Kit Harington in Game of Thrones as Professor Lupin. This one I'm kind of iffy about, just because I have trouble sometimes separating, you played a villain in the last thing I watched. I'm not sure if I'm going to be a big fan of you. So I will suspend my disbelief. I think he will probably be able to play a good Professor Lupin. He's a good actor, clearly, because he captivated me enough to be like, I really don't trust you. Which kind of works for Lupin, because you're not really supposed to trust Lupin and know you're supposed to think he's hiding something. Yeah, he's a werewolf. And then we have Mbika Mod as Nymphadora Tonks. She's also one that I'm not entirely familiar with, so I'm interested to see how she plays the role. We're gonna have to wait a while for her, though, because Nymphadora Tonks does not come in until Order of the Phoenix, which means we aren't going to be able to see her performance until March, as well as Keira Knightley as Professor Umbridge. Then we have Leo Woodall. I don't know him as well, but he's playing Bill Weasley. A very small part for sure, because we don't see him until Order of the Phoenix, which we'll also not be able to see until March. So not a huge thing that he's been cast, probably a very small role, couple lines. It's okay. Now the next big one is Simon Pegg as Arthur Weasley. Simon Pegg is actually now going to be down in the books as two different characters, which is a rare occurrence in the Harry Potter universe. There's only one other person who can have that claim to fame right now of a single character playing multiple characters. Well, he's the third one in the series, actually. So, of course, Flitwick, who took over as Griphook. Then you also have Paul White, who played Sir Cadogan in the movies and is now playing Argus Filch. And now you have Simon Pegg, who played Phineas Nigellus in the Hogwarts Legacy games and is now playing Arthur Weasley in the books. He's not a huge, well-known, hey, he's big in the Harry Potter universe, but, he's playing two separate roles and two separate canons. So kind of cool. Another huge one is James McAvoy as Mad-Eye Moody. Now, the question I have with him is he also playing Barty Crouch Jr., or is he just playing Mad-Eye Moody? Because that would be the interesting thing. Or is he going to be playing Barty Crouch Jr. as Mad-Eye Moody, and then they're going to have someone else play Mad-Eye Moody later in Order of the Phoenix? Not sure. I also find it interesting that we've announced 4 out of the, actually, we already know Snape, so we know 5 out of the 6 Defense Against the Dark Arts professors. Who's playing Quirrell? Is it someone big? I don't know. Then we also have Gemma Wheeling as Professor Sprout. Not sure who she is. I don't think I've seen anything with her in it or heard anything with her in it, but Professor Sprout has a few lines. It's not going to be one of those, it's going to take me out of this series if her voice sucks. And then I think one of the biggest announcements that I'm surprised the internet hasn't blown up about is Matt Berry as Sir Cadogan. Now, I'm sure a lot of people wish that Matt Berry was going to play a larger part in the series. Unfortunately, Sir Cadogan only plays a small part in Prisoner of Azkaban, but Sir Cadogan is probably the best role that he could have played, besides maybe Dobby. But I think Sir Cadogan is something that Matt Berry will do a fantastic job at. And the final 5 in this cast announcement is Mark Addy as Rubeus Hagrid, which I think he was actually in the running to play Rubeus Hagrid in the live action, but they went with Nick Frost. So this is probably why they had that rumor that Mark Addy was playing Hagrid, because I think he said in an interview or something about being Hagrid. Well, here you go. He is Hagrid, but for the audiobook, not for the live action series. That's where the confusion was from. Then you have Daniel Mays as Dobby. Not sure who Daniel Mays is, but he is going to be in a lot of it because Dobby shows up so much in the books. They really kind of cut his part down a lot in the movies, which is a shame because I feel like people would have been more sad when Dobby died in the end of the movie because he's throughout. Like, he's in the 4th book, he's in the 5th book, he's in the 6th book. He's a very important part of the Harry Potter series. Then we have Alex Hassel as Lucius Malfoy. I'm not 100% sure who Alex Hassel is, but as long as he can have a long, drawling voice, I think he'll do good for the role. Then we have Sarah and Avery Dimbeck as Padma and Pavarti Patil. Hey, they got actual twins to play twins, or at least sisters to play twins. Also, I'm not sure who they are. I don't think I've seen anything that they've been in. But hey, kind of cool that they'll have at least slightly different voices so you can tell the difference between them, because I still don't know who is in what and who is who, especially in the movies. I don't know which one's Pavarti, which one's Padma, but maybe they'll be able to differentiate enough that I know who is who. And that's it. That is all 15 new announcements on top of who we already knew. So month and a half, we have until November. Are you excited? Do you not care about this at all? Let me know in the comments. Like, are you excited about this? Are you going to get these? Or are you going to be like, hey, listen, I'm okay with Jim Dale. I don't need other people to read it. Or I'm okay with Stephen Fry. I know some people prefer Stephen Fry over Jim Dale. Me, I like both. And I will probably like this. It just gives me another way to listen to the books and intake the information so I can come out with more discussions and theories. So if you like the discussions, make sure to like and subscribe, and we can do more discussions. I may have reactions to listening to the book. We'll see how it goes. Or at least thoughts on like, hey, I really enjoyed Hugh Laurie as Dumbledore. I really wasn't a huge fan of Arabella Stanton's Hermione. We'll see. So make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so when I post those videos, you will be the first to see. So as always, stay marvelous and Nox.